today's video, I'm going to be making stuffed pork tenderloin with island blueberry wine glaze from Great Canadian Cuisine. This is a bit of an oldie book that I found at a used bookstore, but researching the author, they actually did quite a bit of research into haute cuisine of Canada, although there are some less fancy recipes in here as well, and some really fun ones I look forward to doing in the future, like a pot pie called Under the Dome from the Sky Dome. A lot of people think Canadian cuisine is just American cuisine, but they really do have their own distinct food and culture that deserves to be appreciated. So here we are. This is a great, just nice, almost like a date night dinner if you want to make something a little bit nicer for someone. The pork tenderloin is obviously the best cut of pork for something like this, and this glaze it's made with demi-glaze and blueberry wine, and man, it really just is one of the most flavorful ones of these kind of like runny glazes that I've ever used before. So let's go ahead and hop into the kitchen and I'll show you how to make this. We're going to begin this recipe by preparing the pork tenderloin. So I've got a 1 to 1.5 pound single piece of pork tenderloin here, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually just take a sharp knife and we're going to get it through as close to the center of this tenderloin as you can. And the idea here is we would like to carve a hole all the way through to the other side. So I'm going to do it basically halfway on this side and then do the same thing on the other side. You can, for this recipe, butterfly it and then use twine to tie it together. But the recipe does specifically say to sort of make a pocket, because this is going to be the stuffing is going to go in this hole that we're going to make in the middle of this pork tenderloin. Now we're going to make the stuffing for our pork tenderloin. So I've got a tablespoon of butter that I've melted here in this pan, and I've got 3 cups of chopped spinach, and we're just going to get that in there, and we're going to get this nice and wilted. You can see as this spinach wilts, it reduces in volume significantly, so 3 cups can reduce down to not that much pretty quickly. So once we get to this point, we're going to go ahead and put in a 1/4 cup of chopped shallots, as well as a 1/4 cup of pine nuts and 2 minced garlic cloves. And we're going to saute this mixture together until the spinach is completely wilted and the shallots are nice and soft. I've turned off the heat, and now we're going to go ahead and season this with about 1/2 teaspoon of salt and pepper each. And we're going to take that off heat and get that swirled around just a little bit to distribute the seasoning, and then we're going to set this aside and let this cool. Back at the pork tenderloin, we're going to take our cooled stuffing and just get spoonfuls of it, and we're going to put it in that kind of hollow that we made. And then what I'm going to do to kind of force that into the middle is use the steel sharpener that's in most knife blocks and just kind of push it in there. And we want to get this pushed all the way through so that your pork is completely stuffed with this wonderful filling. Now, in a cast iron skillet on high heat, we're going to take our stuffed tenderloin and we're going to go ahead and just sear this on all sides just to get it brown. While this is going on, we're also going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees, because after we sear it, this is going to go in another pan and go in the oven. Look at that beautiful sear on this pork tenderloin. All right, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to the pan. And now we're going to put this pan in the oven for 10 minutes. Then we're going to take it out, and after we take this out of the oven, we're going to let it rest for 3 to 4 minutes after it comes out. Back at the pan, as the drippings, we've lowered the temperature down to medium. Now we're going to go ahead and put 1/2 stick of butter in and get that melted. With the butter melted, we're going to add a cup of blueberry wine. And we're just going to cook that for a couple of minutes until the alcohol boils off and this reduces by about 1/2. Now, blueberry wine I found at Aldi, and it was only like $5. So it actually wasn't too difficult to find, and I'm sure if you have a wine stop or a wine shop or an Aldi close to you, they have some sort of blueberry wine that you can use if you want to make this recipe. Now we're going to turn the heat to low, and this is a cup of demi-glaze. This is just homemade demi-glaze that I had frozen from a big batch that I made. You can get like store-bought demi-glaze that you have to sort of rehydrate, but we're going to take a cup of that, And we're going to put that in. And we're just going to leave that on long enough for this to all get incorporated together. And it's going to make this wonderful, rich, blueberry-infused sauce that we're going to drizzle over the top of our slices of pork. You can already see it's starting to come together and thicken. The absolute last thing that we're going to do is put in just a little bit of basil and oregano. Give it a little bit of an herby flavor as well. And we're going to let this just continue here to cook on low for another minute or two. And then we're going to put this through a strainer and we'll serve it with our pork. We are ready to cut the pork tenderloin, and let's see how this came out. Look at that. Look at how beautiful and glistening that pork is. Look at that wonderful spinach pine nut filling in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and cut some more slices of this, and we will get this plated up with our gravy. I've plated up a few tenderloin medallions, and now we're just going to finish things up here. I'm going to garnish with a little fresh basil leaf, as well as my little Hokkaido bird of the blueberry gravy. I have tasted that, and man, it really is a nice savory with a hint of blueberry gravy. So really fantastic. And now we're going to use our little Hokkaido bird here to drizzle some of that glaze and gravy over the top. And man, that looks delicious. So if all this sounds interesting to you, if you like spinach and pine nuts and basil and herby flavors mixed with fruity flavors and that just decadent flavor of demi-glaze and the best cut of pork tenderloin, check this one out and check this book out. I think you'll really like it. I'll see you guys next time.